right? What's the question?
The ladder.
That ladder stand. You can take that ladder and make it. Who's grabbing this thing?
Yeah, the final show.
How Sugar City started was, I mean, it sort of kind of coalesced around the shows that Amy was putting in her attic.
Amy in particular.
I mean, it has to be Amy.
Our founder, patron saint.
Is kind of like the mother of the space.
I was involved with Sugar City before it was Sugar City. It was called Not the Usual Suspects. These were attic shows that Amy hosted while she was in college.
I did an internship at the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art. And that was like a really great experience, and I was there for about 9 months. And it was during that time that I realized, no, I don't want to do that. So when I moved back to Buffalo, when my internship was over, I was like immediately like, we need to start a venue.
Sugar City is a collective of people that want to start an arts and cultural space in Buffalo, New York. Basically, do-it-yourself, sort of grassroots organization to help local and national touring artists come to Buffalo. It's our new home. We're very excited to be here. I think it's the perfect space for us. A lot of people are supporting us, a lot of people behind us. We've been working together for about 9 months. We've had 24 events, so I think tonight is going to be really great.
When you come in and say you want to start like a not-for-profit, all ages music space, people are like, so are you going to operate a bar?
They basically thought we were trying to, run a concert venue or a bar or something, even though we stress like, we're not going to serve alcohol. And then they say,
so how are you going to make money? It's like, well, it's enough profit, so we're not going to make money. Like,
yeah, I mean, most of the building owners we talked to was just sort of like,
Volunteer, all ages. Like, what is this place?
but luckily, we stumbled on a place in Allentown. So we met the landlord, and she actually kind of like got what we were talking about, which was, a great start.
Did people tell you how we found the space and that magic connection?
Is there no good reason why I've been keeping your ribbon safe and warm?
We realized that she was the sister of Calvin Johnson from K Records. A great landlord for the first 3.5 years, helped us through a lot of our growing pains of figuring out how to do the space.
So the space at Wadsworth, I believe it opened up in January 2009.
I came across Sugar City like a lot of people do, and I feel like that was word of mouth.
All of a sudden I started to see this name on flyers, Sugar City.
One of those cute little 4x5 signs that tell you where the event is going to be over on Wadsworth.
Started talking to a few local artist friends, and all of them were raving about how great Sugar City was.
It was kind of inescapable, like the amount of shows kind of going on and how much of a backbone they provided for the Buffalo scene.
Well, we always, you probably heard this a lot, variations of bringing the underground above ground.
Underground and bringing it
above ground too. So it wasn't sort of this secret club where you had to know someone to know someone, the ask the punk kind of thing to get the address to go someplace. It's really elitist sometimes.
Genuinely that time of my life where I wanted to go and just enjoy something and have an outlet to connect with people through self-expression.
I hope that it's thought of as a very inclusive space. That was our main goal.
With it being an all ages space and drug and alcohol free, which was really cool and something that didn't know existed in Buffalo.
Always been an experiment. Like, we've never thought about this like, this is what Sugar City is. It's always changing, it's always evolving.
Like, sort of just like the possibility of DIY and what it could be, like, just kind of really floored me as like as a teen.
When I feel a certain way, the way when I don't wanna stay, all the world is gloom and doom, I just wanna vroom, 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 when I'm terrified.
Sugar City can be anything you want it to be as long as you put in the time. Understanding that time is a commodity that not everyone has.
Especially with Sugar City doing trades, like if you volunteered for 20 hours, you got to do a free concert. And I thought that was really important too, to kind of shift the monetary power focus as well.
You know, next thing you know, you have more volunteer hours than you could ever redeem.
Started volunteering, and then eventually, you know, they gave me a key, and then they told me I was a Sugar citizen.
I, went to a volunteer meeting, and here I am 10 years later.
And then eventually I was told that I was also a board member, so that was very exciting.
Everyone a volunteer, so that is amazing to just spend your time volunteering to help people, put them in position to express themselves in whichever way that that was just beautiful.
I just immediately was like, oh, I know this kind of space.
We just sat down in a circle, like by the stage.
Yeah,
it was like the first time we were there.
I mean, if you come into that meeting, it might feel quite rudderless.
Talked about like setting something up.
We're not following Robert's rules.
I just always like got that feeling. I'm like, wow, like people just like me like made this happen, and there's something about that that's really special.
There's hundreds of volunteers on the email list, and I haven't even met all of them.
Volunteer management, as anyone will tell you who's been involved in DIY venues or the DIY scene, will, they'll say that's one of the hardest parts.
So we need somebody to coordinate all the volunteers.
I spent a period of time trying to wrangle volunteers and sort of being in charge of that.
Pat's been doing it for a few years, and he is tired of doing it.
It was feast or famine. Sometimes a lot of people would get involved and want to help out, and other times it would just feel like the same group of us sort of pushing that boulder up the hill.
Would you like to do it? And I was like, would I like to?
And it was a lot of work to figure out all that stuff at the same time as putting on shows 4 or 5 times a week.
Since everyone's here, I just wanted to let everyone know that as of the space closing, Lisa and I are going to be resigning from our spots within the space.
When you have like a choir and they're singing and they have the illusion of the note being held very long, but other people drop out and someone else comes back in. Having that with any kind of organization where people can be like, yo, I'm burnt out, I gotta go, I'm tired, I need to move, I'm getting married, I wanna have a house, if people have a life and they're allowed to be able to fall back from the space and still work within their capacity.
That's the secret of Sugar City, is that the people who keep it going and the people that shape the direction that it takes, it's just entirely based on like who shows up and has the time and like willingness to do something.
One other thing, I hope it's addressed, we had lots of issues with the city.
I think I wrote a paper on it in high school because it was just crazy, like kind of a double standard thing. So at Wadsworth, there were issues with the neighbors, with one set of neighbors in particular.
All those meetings with the city when the neighbors were trying to get us shut down, like I learned so much about the city and building code. It was ridiculous.
We had a lot of shady people showing up and kind of demanding various licenses, and Amy was the one who kind of figured out all of that.
You'd be at the show enjoying the band, and all of a sudden someone would yell out, "The show is over," and the sound was cut because the cops had come and there had been a noise complaint.
I mean, the closing was actually just due to circumstance. It didn't have anything to do with the city. The city, after we met with them, left us alone. We were at Wadsworth, I think, for 3 years, and as everyone talked about, there's definitely some struggles. But after those 3 years where he said, oh, we need to keep going.
I had this idea where like you play a subway station and then you get on the train and someone plays the train and you get off the next station and someone performs there.
And Andy Zuba worked for the NFTA.
Let me talk to the boss, and the boss is like, you'll get arrested.
The curator at the UB Galleries approached us about doing something for this exhibition, My Future X. I just sort of was like, oh, maybe UB can make this happen.
For coming today. We also want to thank the University of Buffalo Art Gallery for inviting us to participate in their current exhibition, My Future X. And we really want to thank the NFTA for hosting this event and being so very generous with allowing us to
We've been waiting for an hour. What's the deal? All right, this next song is called Deck Party.
I am the rich things era. Got no one break it up. Turn up your hot mascara. Keep the skin jack with up. I do the friggin' part. 60 miles per hour. I do the friggin' part. Shout out to David Dick. Pick up the Seymour knock. Respect the vocal girls and let me see their crust.
Kind of magical one-off event that probably will never happen again. Isn't like, it's unique. It was just like the epitome of what Sugar City is.
We wanted the new space to be totally legal.
Probably the only legal DIY venue for people.
Curtis and Amy and Dan and other people spending a lot of time, hoofing it around City Hall and different places to get the right permits.
A space that's both 100% legal and welcome to everybody.
They did a really good job of, meeting these certain criteria to be legit. And I sort of think legitimized any artist who was there. I was always very proud of the fact that Sugar City was legal. It was a legal thing to do, and no one could yell at us.
I was renting the building next door, throwing shows in it on a one-off basis, and one night I ran into a woman outside with a flashlight, and I was like, what's going on? She's like, oh, I own this building, and the door is open, I don't want to go in by myself. It's like being a brave idiot. I was just like, I'll go in with you. So we just went inside to make sure everything was okay, and as soon as I walked in, lights started going off in my head. I was like, Sugar City doesn't have a space. This is literally everything that we need. Yeah, it was just like a total luck situation.
That space was also cursed because it had so many underage drinking violations that it was couldn't have a liquor license for a long time. There's a certain point where the state liquor authority is just now this is blacklisted for a while now. That's what happened to 1239 Niagara Street. City Hall, they all knew about it too. Like all the guys that worked in City Hall were like, oh, Comptons, I know about Comptons. And so it kind of like already had this like reputation with a certain generation. So it kind of worked in our favor too because we didn't want to sell alcohol. It was like, yeah, for sure, give us this cursed building that cannot serve alcohol anymore. This is a perfect fit for us.
As soon as you would enter Sugar City, you're greeted by all this art.
The art space, I've seen some such cool art.
And I would come back and see most of my shows, I'd just be going alone. And I wouldn't really know anybody off the top of my head, like as soon as I got there.
You come to the show too early because you believe the bands are gonna play at 7.
And so I spent so many countless hours just looking at everything that was set up in there.
It was just like so cool, like seeing like all of like the art in the front. Like it's such a cool community.
And it's really upsetting because I know there's other galleries and whatnot, but it was just cool. You could have a show and someone would be showing their like sculpture work, and I really appreciated that.
We always advertise that the gallery is always free.
You'd walk into some other local artist, like doing whatever they want to do in that room, and it looked really cool, you know? So it kind of blended those worlds together.
We're an organization that exists for other people to have their dreams, vision, creative projects come to life.
Really decision to not curate events based on, you know, our sort of aesthetic preferences.
We try not to do too much of our own programming.
That allowed people to, you know, sort of see this as a vital space for their own subculture.
People are afraid of certain genres, and Sugar City was like, let's do it.
Help control the mummy pet population. Have your pets mummified and desiccated. Thank you very much.
Sugar City for me represented sort of a safe, judgment-free artistic space where I could do stuff that I wasn't sure about and figure myself out, figure my art practice out.
The energy, like the way that the energy moves in the space, I really like that. I've always been the most connected with Sugar City through like the intimacy in that space.
As much as you get performing there or going to a show there, you know, full sound, soda bar, art in the gallery. They also would let virtually any genre, you know, you could go there and see every type of thing.
All right, have you ever been to a concert and got some tea? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Or
think
coffee.
about that though. It's like you was comfortable in there at all times.
The one thing I love about like performing there compared to like a normal bar gig is people are there for the show.
Really, I can't think of any other venue that had the same sort of ability to do these one-off sort of sets.
If you have an idea, you want to do something, we're here for you to do it.
Even the punks were like, there's already a couple basements, why are you doing this? And then we just sort of said like, well, our focus is on being all ages, which none of you are. Like, all of you serve alcohol at your events, and it's not like the most welcoming experience for being underage. I mean, I love the punk houses and the punk basements, but you had to kind of like get ready to go down those stairs sometimes. You had to be prepped for it, you know, because you're going into a damn, dark place with people you might not know. So having the empowerment to even go sometimes isn't for everyone.
As a teenager, as like a 15-year-old, like that, I mean, the all ages element was like so actually really essential because like there's a vibe, you know, most of the shows then or always are like punk shows, and there's a little bit of like a, you know, like it's scary for kids. To go to those.
Sugar City was around for 11 years. There were people that have been coming since they were 12 or younger.
I would go there for like folk punk shows after school. with my friends sometimes.
And like kind of grew up there, and like maybe we didn't see it because it wasn't the same person that I saw biking around downtown or going to the arty things I was going to, you know? So it's almost like I kind of overlooked the reach of the space.
We provided space for bands, you know, at all levels. We had international touring bands come through here. We've had bands having their earliest shows here.
I've seen like young kids play and then grow up and have really successful bands of their own.
It was great that it was Sugar City was all ages, so there could have been a rap show going on or, you know, a rock band, and we could have brought our 6-year-old who's interested in that and maybe enlighten him to be like, oh, I can do that in the future.
To my knowledge, there are no other all ages venues.
Because like when we started, we were playing like bars, like no one could come. But
Yeah,
that
like-
place was like the place that started getting people to actually see us.
Our first show with Muddle was cool because it was my first time like moshing and like dancing around with everybody, and like those shows were always like really fun for me.
Yeah, at 16, you can't go to too many shows, and there aren't that many spaces that allowed for you to kind of get exposure to people making art in a very free sort of setting.
Where else is that band going to be able to bring all their friends out and kind of grow and get to know the scene?
Places don't want to take chances on younger acts, and that's something that's heartbreaking, and I think is something that is going to need to be addressed.
While house shows, you know, serve an important purpose in our community, they're ultimately kind of self-limiting.
And the difference with the basement show is like even a protective parent, you know, will drop you off as a kid at like Sugar City. It's like, you know, you know what you're kind of getting.
You know, we'd always kind of had a general safe space policy.
The organizers of Sugar City at the core were accountable for things like racism, accountable for, especially as an all ages space, accountable for like, you know, substance abuse within the space.
And then a few years ago, we sort of stepped up our game on that and, you know, tried to be more assertive in that, and that's been that, you know, that has turned into a constant challenge.
Accountability, even when it's difficult, even when they're embarrassed, and that's also why I fuck with like some of the organizers still who leave that space, because they're like, yo, it's mad uncomfortable calling our friends out, but look what we get out of it. Also, there's plenty other people we can use who aren't problematic in that way.
Buffalo is such a city whose culture is very like wrapped up in like partying.
Just like, yeah, fuck dude, we're gonna rage.
Like people would come into the first Sugar City and be like, I'm 25, it's my God-given right to drink beer in here. And you're just like, no, like stop, please. Like, why are you doing this to me?
For people who don't want to engage in drinking or drug use, who want to bring their family to a show, they want to bring their young ones, they want to be able to bring, you know, their friggin' grandma or whatever, like, that was a space where you could just bring people.
My kids would come with me, and it was probably some of their first shows that they ever been to, since it was all ages and everything. A safe place for the kids to come out.
Say it into the microphone, Margot. Say it into the microphone.
When I became sober a couple of years ago, Sugar City was invaluable. That's a place I could go to and feel comfortable, not feel awkward, because no one was drinking, everyone had the soda, which is nice.
As somebody going to a concert alone there, I've always felt safe just being there, wandering around, and that's something that you can't put a price tag on that, you know?
Whenever I was there, it was always just a nice feeling and always so fun.
Couch.
Nobody
And, like,
judged there either.
Yeah, Sugar City's definitely been like the only space that's cultivated like that intimacy.
I never like got bullied or never seen anyone
Harassed
getting
or anything.
shit ever there.
No such thing as a safe space, in my opinion, but there's an accountable space and there's a space that wants to do repair work. You know what I'm saying?
It's like this nice little bastion of wholesomeness. Here is filled with posters. I feel like each poster
is an important memory to someone, and there are a handful of posters that I can point out and be like, oh, I played that show, I played that one.
All the decorations on the wall, and I remember when some of those posters first started getting collected.
It just shows you the diversity and the extent of the culture that sort of existed through Sugar City. And it's been around for so long, and so much has come through here. So my short answer would be, take a look at the walls here before they disappear with the posters, and that gives you an exact sense of what they were about.
Currently, our 1239 Niagara Street space is closing.
It still is a huge bummer because it's something that we built up over all these years and kind of out of seemingly nowhere came crashing down.
Our primary funding source is through rental fees for events. And because of that, we can't afford to pay rent here anymore.
We got done in by coronavirus.
We decided it was in our best interest to close the space, preserve our resources and sanity for the time being, and then try to consider reorganizing in the future as the world comes together to some degree.
We've been using these cheese balls things since the day we got here.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed it. Damn it.
There's so much tape and so many times we
That thing is worth literally nothing.
Weirdos. Thank you.
I'm having trouble running some motorcycle.
I mean, it's hard to wrap my mind around that because we're losing so much else right now.
I feel really terrible about that, actually, because the community is losing a ton.
It was just all of the artistic communities could be joined together at this space.
A place that everyone will feel welcome at. That's really what the community is losing.
Sad that that's gone, and it's gonna hurt for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. There's some things that you can't take away. Just because the physical space doesn't exist, it's like an entity. It's a body that exists within the people.
Especially right now with what's happening in terms of our society, all the huge shifts that are happening around, social contact and social community and support.
Everything goes in cycles. Some shit has to die in order for new things to start up.
We could have tried holding on, but we would have been more in hock to our landlord.
The real estate kind of ideology has kind of morphed.
The gentrification was already here. I'm not trying to point any fingers or anything like this as far as that, but
there's a
sad truth, Yeah.
Outside of our current context, what this means is a loss for a lot of young people.
I haven't lived in a Buffalo that didn't have that kind of cultural space, and I'm having a hard time envisioning staying here without seeing one happen.
Future. I don't know what the future holds.
It's a little unclear.
We've been unhoused before.
There's certain people that are really into continuing our sort of live streaming programming or doing some sort of podcasting.
Love to see the space exist in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, Denzel, I just sent you the link.
Are we good to go?
Yeah.
Folks who had talked about maybe shifting this more towards a gallery rather than kind of multi-use space.
We're gonna exist, amorphously, until we're able to rejoin the physical world.
And in many ways, I mean, you know, I'm getting old. Those of us who, you know, sort of were involved in Sugar City in the very early days are all getting old.
You work on something so hard for so long, it's just like you grow tired and sometimes need a break. And I think that's kind of happened with their last closure. Like we were able to take a break for a little bit, revamp, and come back.
Yeah. You factor in a global pandemic, and then things get slightly more complicated.
Sugar City gave us a format to practice non-hierarchical, creative collaboration. And for me, it was like a nest.
I mean, just thank you to the people who did it. You know,
Yeah,
it meant so much. You know, like I really went into my adult life feeling like, oh, DIY is like one of my major passions.
I mean, I just want to say good luck to the team over there. I wish you guys the best. I want to see you guys come back in full stride. And I'm around. I'm ready. Call me.
What the future holds, I don't know, but you know, it's not over.
Yeah, it's actually the best snack bar in town. It was awesome. Cheap, you know, good shit. I always hit that. Yeah.
What Pop Shop flavor?
Oh, my favorite Pop Shop flavor.
Oh, that's a good one. It used to be tied between grapefruit and birch beer.
I'm a big birch beer or like root beer guy.
Pop Shop's birch beer was the best in the game.
If I had to, I guess I would go with a root beer or birch beer.
I think it's just root beer because I could finish the root beer.
But the cream soda for me, I mean, I can really talk about it.
Ginger ale. The ginger ale was always...
Cherry's always been my go-to. I mean, it's my go-to for any flavor, but...
Stands apart from other fruit flavors in the soda space.
Peach is far and away the best.
I have nostalgias for grape flavors.
Just kind of like explodes this juicy flavor.
And it was different from other cream sodas. They had their own little thing going on with that. And that was what I was looking for.
Yeah, when we came here to do this interview, we were hoping to grab a pop, but we're gonna have to find our pop somewhere else now.
I do feel like I want to give a shout out. My first pop shop was actually at the Polish Library. They carried Pop Shop, and I told Bob, like, I don't really want to have a drink. He's like, oh, we have Pop Shop. Do you want a Pop Shop? I said, what's Pop Shop? And it was always in my mind. So then when Sugar City was opening our second location, I was like, Bob, where do you get those Pop Shops from? And he told me. So thanks to Bob for the Pop Shops.
And teach me to drive stick in the parking lot with patience and gentle constant lessons as my guide. I'll learn to trust the reflexes I've got. That's my favorite one. Thank you. Is that a newer one? Yeah, that's on the Fun a Day.
It's the eye of the tiger.
Always going.
I think I'm just thankful for everyone that walked through that door. I'm thankful for Wendis Jones and Bill Breezer for believing in us to like rent us the buildings. You know, especially people like the NFTA. Wow, thank you for, letting us do what we did. University of Buffalo as well. Like, that's like a giant ivory tower institution for letting us do something wild. I mean, thanks to all the Sugar citizens, past, present, and future. It takes a lot of heart and commitment to do what we do.